It was reported on June 14th, first day of minicamp, mandatory minicamp that is, that Stephon Gilmore was not present and likely he was holding out for a new contract. Be sure to destroy the like button if you want Stephon Gilmore to sign back with the Patriots. I'm telling you, he's watching how many likes this video gets, and if it gets enough, he probably will re-sign. All jokes aside, it really does help out the channel, so be sure to consider liking the video. Ian Rappaport tweeted this on June 14th at 10 a.m. Patriots star cornerback Stephon Gilmore, who wants a new contract and is rehabbing from a partially torn quad, that's another important detail, is not present at the team's mandatory minicamp today. There's two very important details there. Number one is that he wants a new contract. It has never come out that he wants traded, and not once yet has there been any piece of evidence to suggest that he wants out of New England. Matter of fact, there is a lot of evidence that points towards him wanting to return to the Patriots just with a new contract. If he gets traded, it's likely because Bill Belichick wants to trade him now that he wants a new contract. He doesn't want to give him more money. I do think that this will be resolved, and I have plenty of evidence to suggest that in this video. Now, the reasons why Stephon Gilmore doesn't have as much leverage as one would think, being probably the best cornerback in the game, if not a top 3 cornerback. He's 31 years old, which isn't ideal, especially for a cornerback. It's one of those positions where you really need to be at the top of your game in order to keep up with the wide receivers. I would say the cornerback position is the one where older players fall off the worst out of any position in the entire NFL. We've seen it happen time and time again, and when you hit a certain age, you just really drop off, or you get moved to safety, which is actually a really good move that some teams have done in the past with their older cornerbacks. Another thing that's going on is, well, Stephon Gilmore did deal with some injury problems with that quad last season and just numerous different injuries. And when he was not on the field, it was a problem. That was a huge problem. But that's another reason why I feel like it's so important that we re-signed Stephon Gilmore. I feel like if we trade him or just don't re-sign him and he leaves, I feel like that's a massive mistake. I really feel like they should give him the money he's looking for because it's actually not that bad, and it's quite reasonable actually. And it kind of works with the cap space. It doesn't really put a huge hit on it. And I'll talk about a way that they can structure it as well that'll be a little bit more cap friendly and probably friendly towards Stephon Gilmore as well. I'm sure he will like it. Here's something I found on an article. Sources around Gilmore have consistently told me he doesn't want to leave New England. He was mystified and taken back by talk of him being traded as of last fall, and that's the fall of 2020, by the way. So it sounds like this is another piece of evidence that really he just does not want to be traded. He's just looking for a little bit more money. He's looking for a pay raise to probably be around or above 10 million, in the 10 to 15 million dollars per year range is probably what he's looking for. And if you think about it, that's a huge difference when he's making, well, he's expected to make 7 million this year. If he can get bumped up to 12 million or so or more, that is huge for his future, his children's future. You know, you invest that money properly, you send your kids to college. Obviously, that's not a problem for him, but you invest that money properly, and for generations, your family is set up. So that's a huge difference in his life and his children's life and his grandchildren's life. But for the team, you know, that bump isn't as big of a deal. So it makes sense that he would want this, and it is generally not that big of an ask for him to ask the team of this. And I know a lot of people are saying he should honor his contract, but for him to make $7 million is atrocious. I mean, like I said, he's either the best cornerback or the third best cornerback, and I think right now he's making the 25th most out of cornerbacks. So that is really off, obviously. So and it is because they pushed some money forward last year for him because he was expected to make around, I want to say like 9 million last year or 10 million, and they bumped it up and brought a lot of that money over from this year to that year. But now that leaves this year even less money. So he's just looking for a restructure to set himself up for the future, which makes sense. You can't blame him really. Here's the top 5 paid cornerbacks by 2021 base salary. And you tell me which one of these corners is better than Stephon Gilmore. Bradley Roby, Kyle Fuller, Kendall Fuller, his brother, Xavier Howard, Byron Jones. None of these guys deserve to be making more money than Stephon Gilmore, and I'm sure he would take a deal where he's making $12 million for the next 3 years or something like that, and that's not even that bad. I have an example in how it would impact the salary cap if he was making $16 million per year for the next 3 years, and it still doesn't break the bank. So I'll show you guys that at the end, so stay tuned for that. Here's just a little bit of what Stephon Gilmore has done with the Patriots. He is a Patriots legend. It says that at the end of this post, and I 100% agree at this point. They should be making every effort to keep him around. He's been worth every penny so far since he's been a Patriot. That's what Trent Brown, number one fan, has said here, and I love that username. Trent Brown is great. Two-time first-team All-Pro, Defensive Player of the Year back in 2019, Super Bowl champion in 2018, 46 PBUs, and then 13 interceptions. You guys might be thinking the interceptions are a little low, and even the PBUs a little bit. That's because people don't even throw his way. And I think that's the biggest thing with him is he's just kind of cutting the field in half to where teams are really reluctant to throw it on his half of the field because it usually just doesn't go as well as if they throw to the other side. Last season, J.C. Jackson was over on the other side, and he got a lot of interceptions because they'd rather throw his way than Stephon Gilmore's way. I love J.C. Jackson. I think he's a really, really good cornerback. Here's the thing, though. I don't feel like he is a lockdown cornerback yet, at least. He might develop some really great man-to-man skills and really good zone coverage skills, but at this point, he's good at coverage, and he's good enough to where he can get those interceptions. He can prevent catches, but he's not going to make people throw to the other side where Stephon Gilmore is, so that would pretty much never happen. But I just don't see that happening with him. So what ends up happening if we lose Stephon Gilmore is now the quarterback can throw anywhere. And with J.C. Jackson kind of being on his own without Stephon Gilmore blocking up the other side, I think that's going to make J.C. Jackson's job a lot harder. And I just don't think J.C. Jackson is that type of lockdown cornerback. I think he's a great number 2 cornerback, and I think he could be a pretty good number 1 cornerback. But if we lose Stephon Gilmore, that's going to be a really bad thing. I'm just warning you guys. That is not going to be good. And I would not like it if that happens. Honestly, it's so bad if that happens that I think I would have to redo my prediction for the record this upcoming season because I think it's going to make multiple games different outcomes. I predicted us to get 12 wins. I think without Stephon Gilmore, it might be more like 9 or 10, which is still a upgrade from last season, but it does cut that back. I think this would impact the whole defense in a way that wouldn't be good. We would still have a really good cornerback group. We have Jonathan Jones. Now we have Jalen Mills, and then still J.C. Jackson, and that's one of the more talented. That's probably a top 10 cornerback group already without Stephon Gilmore, but this is clear-cut top 3, if not the number 1 cornerback group of the entire NFL with Stephon Gilmore. He's probably, like I said, the number 1 cornerback in the league, so that's obvious. I really feel like they should make a valiant effort to keep him on the team, really. So this is our cap room without re-signing Stephon Gilmore to a new contract. This is where it stands right now with Stephon Gilmore on the team. We have $16 million in cap room this season, $29 million next season, and then for 2023 and 2024, we have $117 million and then $193 million respectively. Some reports have come out that, and it's not really confirmed, that Stephon Gilmore wants a 3-year, $50 million deal. That would come out to about $16 million per season. So with that contract in mind, let's go ahead and add that on. That brings us to a whopping $6 million in cap space this year, which I think is plenty of wiggle room going into the season and will give us enough to where if we have to make some signings, have to make some moves, we still can. The iffiest year on this is next year. You know, it's bad to set up a future season. This isn't even this season. This is a future season with only $12 million in cap room. I think that is a little low. So I feel like if they do this contract, for instance, in 2023, you still have $99 million in space, which is good. In 2024, obviously $175 million in space. I would make this more of a back-end and front-end deal, leaving 2022, take some of that base salary and spread it around to other years, like 2021 and then 2023, and perhaps 2024 as well. They're on the back end of the deal, and leave a little more room for 2022. Perhaps trying to keep 2022 around maybe the $15 to $20 million range in the cap room would be a little bit better. A little bit more wiggle room if we do want to make some signings next season. But a lot of the guys we brought on have long-term deals, and I don't know if we will be very aggressive at all in next year's free agency. It's going to be more about keeping guys on our team that are projected to become free agents rather than signing new players. Obviously, 2023, 2024, we have plenty of space, so we're not worried about that. So regardless, even though I've made plenty of statements suggesting that Stephon Gilmore likely does want to work something out with the Patriots, he doesn't want to leave. It doesn't sound like he wants to stay. He just wants a little bit more money, which again, it makes sense. He is making a atrociously low amount of money from what it seems like. This hasn't stopped other players from actively and openly recruiting him. DeAndre Hopkins said, best corner in the game from South Carolina, bump and run Gilmore. Let him know it's love Red Sea. And really, this is just, I mean, this is out in the open. People are actively recruiting. I hate this, guys. I hate this recruiting stuff. I hate it in the NBA. I've hated it in the NBA for years. And now it's, over the last couple of years, creeped its way more and more into the NFL. And this is, I hate this, especially for the future of the game. Jalen Ramsey on his story. Mookie Betts went from Boston to LA and got a ring. What do you think, Bump and Run Gilmore? Bump and Run Gilmore, what's good? So Jalen Ramsey is actively also trying to recruit him to be, I don't know, the number 2 cornerback next to Jalen Ramsey, because I'm pretty sure he wouldn't like it if Stephon Gilmore came in there and took the number 1 cornerback spot. So he's probably expecting Stephon Gilmore to be the number 2 guy. Bill Belichick, when asked about it, said, we'll just focus on the guys that are here, when they asked about him not being at minicamp. So not a lot of information there. This one right here has got to be my favorite. Question about Stephon Gilmore's situation. Belichick said, I'll keep those conversations between myself and the player private. Another question came in. What level of panic would you put on the situation? Answer, I don't really do levels. So, I love that. Bill Belichick doesn't do levels, apparently. So, that's a hilarious answer in my opinion. Guy Boston Sports said, Devin McCourty on Stephon Gilmore not showing up to Patriots mandatory minicamp. I've been talking to him. He's still a part of this team. So I think that's a really good sign also here from Devin McCourty that Stephon Gilmore does still want to work something out. And I really feel like that is the case here. Here's another one by Doug Kide. I think that's how you told me to say this name. You guys told me to say this name. Belichick was asked about Stephon Gilmore's absence and recovery from a quad injury. And this is the quote I said earlier, but I'll keep those conversations between myself and the player private, and we're not going to get into injury reports now. And what Doug Kide said here at the end is the most notable. From what I've heard, it certainly sounds like a salvageable situation. And this was as of the 16th, so this is actually 2 days after the situation started. This was 2 days ago from now, the time I'm making this video, on June 18th. So I really do feel like, to close things out here in this very long video, probably an overly long video, but I have a lot to say about this. Stephon Gilmore, basically ever since we signed him, which it seems like it was just yesterday, but it was actually 4 years ago now. I mean, that just makes me feel old because it feels like literally just yesterday. Ever since he knocked down that pass from the Jacksonville Jaguars in the AFC Championship game, I have been in love with the way he plays the game of football. And since that point, he has been a Patriots legend, in my opinion, and especially after that season the following year in 2018, and then the Super Bowl win with the interception. There's so many great highlight moments for him, and he has just been a stand-up guy, and I really feel like they're going to work something out. And that is certainly what I hope as well. I might have a bias towards it, but I have not heard anything to suggest that there is any evidence that he wants to be traded or wants to leave the team. The only thing that I know as of right now is that he wants more money with the Patriots, not from somebody else. So that is where we're at right now. Unless something else comes out, that is where it stands. And if I do find out that he wants traded or there's something that is suggesting that, I will obviously make a video on that topic, but for now it seems like he does want to stay a Patriot. This is so important, and I feel like having him on the team is going to be the icing on the cake. If Bill Belichick signs him, I think that is the most evidence you could ever see that they think they're going to go on another dynasty run here for the next few years with all of these new free agents. Keeping Stephon Gilmore at 31 years old means they want to win now. If they go ahead and move on, that would tell me that maybe they're looking more towards the future, maybe the next 5 to 10 years with Bill Belichick. So this can mean many different things. But I feel like for this year's team and maybe even the couple of years to come, it is very, very crucial to keep Stephon Gilmore on this team. And I think that solidifies the defense this year. And with the pass rush, the cornerback group, this would be one of the best defenses that the Patriots have ever had, and maybe even the best defense in the NFL this year. They were number 8 last year in total defense, and there's nothing to suggest that they won't take a significant leap this year, at least into the top 5 defenses, unless something drastically goes wrong. Stephon Gilmore leaving the team included. So here's to hoping that Stephon Gilmore gets re-signed with the Patriots. I think that's going to be something that they need to really do, and I don't think it's going to hurt the cap enough to make it not worth it. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Again, smash the like button if you want Stephon Gilmore back with the Patriots this upcoming season and perhaps for seasons to come. Also, be sure to leave a comment down below what your thoughts are. That helps the algorithm out a lot as I'm trying to grow this channel. And be sure to subscribe if you're a Patriots fan. I'll see you guys tomorrow.